What's up, everybody? Laura Whitmore here, owner of Strategic Test Prep, and I am super excited today because this is the first video that kicks off my digital SAT prep series. So if you're an international student and you're about to take the digital test this coming spring, or if you're a sophomore or younger and you live in the States and you want to get ahead of the prep curve because you know you're going to take the test next year, this is a great video for you, and make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that you won't miss out on future content that I create to help you get ready to take this new SAT test that a lot of people don't know about. If you're a junior in high school and you live in the US, have no fear. I promise I will still make paper-based SAT videos. I also have an online self-paced course that I created. The link is in the description below. Check that out. That'll help you get ready for your next test too. All right, guys, I spent the last 2 days conducting trials. This was very scientific for me. And in this video, I'm going to run through my results of how this test is scored, whether or not you can game this SAT, and I'm going to give you my recommendations at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around so that you can find out how I would suggest that you approach the digital SAT to maximize your score. All right, so I made a video a while back about the digital SAT, and I talked about how it's adaptive. And since then, I've done a lot more research and learned a lot more and taken a ton of the practice tests. So I have a lot more information for you guys on this adaptive aspect. First off, it's adaptive by sections. So there's 4 sections to the digital SAT, 2 for English, 2 for math. So after you take the first English section, if you do well enough on it, they're going to give you a harder second section. If you don't do well on the first section, then you're going to get an easier second section. So if you're an international student or you're in the US and you're going to be taking the digital SAT, it's really important you understand how it's scored so that you can do the best possible job you can to try to squeeze out as many points as you possibly can. So when I conducted all these trials, I tried to answer what I thought were the most important questions that one would have to understand the algorithm and how the algorithm is actually measuring your SAT score. Now, when I conducted these trials, I focused only on the English portions of the SAT to start. I also needed a control. So I went to the Blue Book Exams app, which, by the way, if you didn't download that app yet, make sure you do. It's College Board's free app, and it has 4 official SAT practice tests in it. Even though I've taken all 4, because I'm working to make new strategies for you guys that I will also teach you in this series, I used practice test 1 for all of my trials. That way there would be no variations or variables in my findings. So here's the first question. How many can you get wrong and still get the second set of harder questions? So after running a bunch of trials, I realized you can get 10 wrong and still get the second harder section. This is important, and you'll understand why when I tell you how it's scored. But the first section has 27 questions, so you can miss a little less than half. You miss 10, and they'll give you that harder second set. Okay, here's the second question. If you get more than 10 questions wrong on section 1, what's the best possible score you can get total, even if you rock the second part? So I did just that. I actually ran a trial where I missed 12 questions, so a little bit more than 10, to make sure that they fed me the easier questions for the second set. After missing 12 questions in the first set, I made sure to get all of the questions right on the second set, and I only ended up with a 560. This is really, really bad, you guys. There's no way, you have no chance of getting a 600 or above if you bomb the first set of questions. So keep that in mind. I actually reversed the trial where I got all of them right in the first section and then missed 10 in the second section, and I got a 660. So you're going to be 100 points higher, even if you miss the same amount of questions, but on the second set, that's a harder set instead of the first set. Okay, now here's the one that's really surprising and a little scary and kind of bothersome to me. What happens if you get just one question wrong? So I ran a trial where I got them all right in the first set and they gave me the harder set, and I got one question wrong in the harder set and I got a 770. So guys, I just missed one question out of 54 and it was a harder question and I lost 30 points. Now I ran the same trial where I only missed one on the first easier section and they fed me the harder questions and I got them all right on the second section and I got a perfect score. I got an 800. So that leaves me kind of scratching my head, like what is going on with this algorithm? So I'm getting an easier question wrong in the first section, but I get a perfect 800, but I get one question wrong in the harder section and I get a 770. I knew that there were going to be flaws to this algorithm. I mean, there's no computer-based adaptive test that's perfect, and this is a huge chink in its armor. Like, this is a huge problem. I don't think that it's fair. I think it's something for you guys to keep in mind. What that says to me is that maybe they're weighting the second part more heavily than the first part once you get the harder questions. But if you want a perfect score on the English portions, you have to do perfect on the second section. Okay, now here's another question. Does your score change if you miss a different question in the same set? The answer is no. So I purposefully missed a question in the first set and then did the whole trial again and missed a different question in the first set and my score was the same. I also did the same thing with the second set. So I missed a different question in the second set versus the first time I did it and my score was the same. So it doesn't matter which questions specifically you miss in each set. It's the amount of questions that you miss in the set that's important. Okay, what happens if you're just over it and you want to just guess the whole time? So let's say you Christmas tree and you put D for every single answer. So I did that on a trial and I got a 200, which is the lowest possible score you can get. So even if you just guess, it doesn't mean that you're going to get some extra points. The paper test, you could like theoretically put D for the whole thing and you'll get above a 200. You put your name on the test and you get a 200, but you can't get away with guessing on this digital SAT. All right, so in conclusion, and I hope this video helped you guys, make sure you do the best possible job you can on the first set. You have to get at most 10 questions wrong to be able to get the harder second set. If you get more than 10 questions wrong on the first set, say goodbye to any hopes of getting over a 600 on the English portions. Now, still at the same time, if you're shooting for very high, like if you want a perfect score, you have to do perfectly on that second section. The first section isn't as important for you. You might be able to miss one question and still get a perfect score. So just know you've got to be flawless on the harder second section to pull out the 800. So what this says to me is although the second set is harder, it doesn't appear to be weighted more than the first set. I guess it depends on what kind of score you're trying to get. So if you're trying to get a really, really high perfect score or almost perfect, that second set is going to be weighted more for you than the first set. If you're trying to get a 600, that first set is going to be more important for you than the second set. Anyways, at the end of the day, I would say just start practicing, download the Blue Book app, try some of the questions, and keep an eye out for my videos because I'm going to start showing you guys how you can tackle each type of question. And I'll give you strategies to save you time and stress and anxiety and give you a plan. So thanks for watching. I can't wait to see you guys again soon and happy prepping.